I'm going to try my hand today at being a bit of a storyteller. If you want to be a good storyteller, you got to have a hook. You got to have adventure, a sense of danger. You got to have a purpose, a moral. Otherwise, you get done reading a book like I read Ernest Hemingway's book about bullfighting. I think it's called The Sun Also Rises. And, I enjoyed it because it had a hook, it had prose, very well written, and then you read all of the story, mostly about expats just doing a bunch of drinking and going on a fishing trip, seeing the running of the bulls in Spain, different bullfighters. But then at the end, there's like sort of a moral about a guy that's chasing a girl, and even though she constantly picks other men to be with, somehow he's always there for her as her friend. But still kind of a lonely single guy, in his 40s, still living this drinking 20s life. I don't know if that's supposed to be the point. Kind of felt like I got done with reading 200 pages of interesting happenings without there being a true climactic finish. So hopefully the story I tell you today won't be quite like that. So the story that I want to talk about is obviously a motorcycle story. We're on a bike here and we're heading into work. No other time that's a good time. This is the best time to tell a motorcycle type tale. I was running, so not on a bike. I was running a long continuous run, and I used to do this loop that went past our local VFW. VFW does fish fries and bike nights and all kinds of other stuff because our town is small, so we don't have all that many restaurants to do that sort of thing. So they had live music this night. They had a whole bunch of bikes parked out front. And as I'm running down the Double D road that runs out to the dam, plenty of motorcycles are zooming by. There's one particular individual, I could kind of tell, he probably was skating on thin ice, heading for a crash. Usually you can tell these types from a mile away. The bandana, the sunglasses, no helmet. No safety gear whatsoever, probably pennies. I didn't really look at the boots, though. Maybe he had boots on. Definitely jeans. And I'm taking my wife up to the bar Harley look. So he's out there, got this lady on the back, and I'm not saying anything bad about the bigger ladies, but they were definitely pushing the edge of what a Softail could carry between the two of them. And he was hammering it, I heard him leave the bar, heard the bug start hitting hard. They come around to this corner. He came around this corner with this lady on the back at least 70 miles an hour. It's a long sweeper. It's not a huge corner. I'm not going to say that I've never taken it at that speed before, but certainly not with someone on the back. I haven't. And all of a sudden I hear this thwack. And then topple, topple, topple. And I look up because I was staring at the pavement while I was running. What had happened is the lady's helmet had flown off. I don't know if she forgot to secure it, which possibly could be, or if she always rides around with that strap dangling, flapping behind her. That could also be true. So the guy reacts to this loud noise, and he panics. I don't know if he grabs the front brake or the rear brake too hard, but all of a sudden I hear the squelch of the tires, and I see this guy go into a wobble like this, but, way faster. The bike just shakes back and forth violently. Well, he's got a friend that's just riding a Sportster behind him, and the friend, who's riding normal, had plenty of room to stop and pick up this lady's helmet, and he waited for the guy back there. He sees his friend go into this death spiral, and I see the look on his face. He recognizes it, I recognize it. I have no idea whether this guy riding the bike actually recognized how much danger him and his girlfriend were in. You know, he recovered, pulled it out of the spin. I don't know if he just let off the rear brake and let off the handlebar control. You know, if you get in one of those spins and you try to fight it, chances are you're adding a little, like, see that? You're adding a little bit of touch to the bars. You're fighting against that input. The bike naturally wants to stand up straight. I mean, I can lock the cruise in here. I'm going a little fast too. Set the cruise in here, and I can just sit here like this, right? The bike wants to run straight. So if you just get off the bars, stop adding to that input, it'll straighten back out. So he turned around in a parking lot and came back. He had a big smile on his face, which immediately went right to my head, and I said, this guy's a fucking moron. You know, what kind of moron almost wrecks their bike from something so stupid, and then turns around and laughs about it? Well, I thought for sure at least the lady'd have some sense about her, right? So he turns around, he comes back, she's sitting there with her arms up in the air, stretching and laughing about it. I was like, lady, you almost died. You lost your helmet. He's not even wearing a helmet. So if that death wobble had ran down on the pavement, you'd have cracked the side of your skull right on this damn line here. So obviously they had no idea what was going on. The friend looked like he was none too happy about the events that had happened. He was kind of shaking his head, but didn't say anything to the guy at all. And I wanted to say something. I was running, so I had no bike. I was not part of this crew. It's not my place to get involved at all. Like, hey, guy, you realize that you just about killed this lady. She obviously has no idea. She's still loving it. Just because you wanted to hit a corner a little too hot, when you probably got a bike that's not set up for the weight you're carrying anyway, so the suspension's going to bottom out when you hit the apex of that corner. If it isn't already bottomed out before you even get there, it's going to create a massive change in the bike's handling characteristics once you have spring and then all of a sudden have no spring. And then as you come out of the apex of that corner, spring's going to launch the back of that bike up in the air. Now I say all that to say this. The point being of this story isn't the point you think I'm trying to make. The point that I'm trying to make, the point that's obvious to everyone that's listening, is when you have a passenger on the back, you got to be cautious. You can't be out there doing crazy stuff, hitting corners too hard, putting your passenger's life in danger. I mean, it's okay to go out there on a motorcycle, act a fool when you're the only one around and no one else is going to get hurt. Then you're taking responsibility for your own life. You should still exercise right risk control so that way you can live to ride another day. But when you've got somebody on the back, that person doesn't have a choice. The choices that you make are the amount of risk that they're going to take because they're not the ones driving, you are. So the first moral of the story is absolutely always drive smooth and easy when you got somebody on the back of the bike. Respect the fact that even though they're having a good time, you're responsible for their safety, and they don't even know well enough what danger they're in. So be the one that is responsible for them. But the second moral of the story I'm trying to make is that guy is likely to go heading for a crash. You know, and if I had spoken up, or his buddy had spoken up and said, hey man, that was scary. You gotta take it easier, especially if you got somebody on the back of the bike. That's the kind of stuff that biker to biker, brother to brother, keeps us all in the square, keeps bikes with the rubber side down and not sliding across the pavement. You know, how many Harleys have you seen online with a huge ass tank dent and a bunch of scraped up shit on the bottom? Or the first thing they do, they come out of their school course and they put some big ass crash bars on there because they know they're probably going to drop this right? So as bikers, if we can chime in, I know it's real difficult because a lot of people put their, I wouldn't say personal worth, but they put a lot of their own skill, what would you call that? They judge their own skill and their own personal worth by their motorcycle driving abilities. And when I say that, I don't mean their safety abilities, because nobody goes around bragging about that, but we all need to work on it. I'm talking about their abilities to do stuff like cranking it around the corners, right? They put their ego into that, and so it's really hard to challenge your friend's ego to step up and say, hey man, you're doing crazy stuff. You need to take it easy. But it's something that we all got to do. Oh, this looks like a craptastic morning for a commute. What the heck happened? I never had this bridge. Oh, the train. The train will block it. Maybe that's why. So yeah, so the point of the story is, if you got a friend that's acting a fool on a bike, let him know. Speak up. You don't have to be like safety mom about it. Hey, you're gonna get hurt. You're gonna get yourself killed. I'd be like, wow, man, that was dangerous. I certainly wouldn't have wanted to be on the back of that bike while you were doing that. Or they're pulling some big wheelies. You think they're gonna loop it? Tell them. It's like, hey, you were at like 12 plus. I mean, you were real close to looping that one. You know, and maybe they're like pissed at you for a day or something, but you might save them like $15,000 for not wrecking a bike. And generally, anybody that you want to ride with is going to recognize that if you're telling them stuff like that, because you care about them, so that you're the kind of friend that they want to be around. They want to ride with. You know, the guy that's saying, do another wheelie, stand up on the tank. That's the guy you probably don't want to ride with. Looks like it's going to be a craptastic morning getting to work. So I think I'm just going to run out. Peace on this one.